Well, as students head back to class for a new school year, we are seeing a growing trend in much of the country. Parents, educators, families, all agreeing that there needs to be a greater emphasis on financial education in the classroom. Nearly 9 in 10 Americans say they want their state to require a semester or a year-long course in personal finance education, and in some cases is a requirement to graduate. Here to talk about that today is Dr. Billy Hensley, President and CEO of the National Endowment for Financial Education. Doctor, thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
So let's talk about why financial education in high school could really be so critical to our students.
Well, there's a lot of momentum right now. We've had a couple of generations live through some very tricky financial times, the Great Recession, the economic fallout of the pandemic, and the survey you mentioned, 88% of Americans think that every teen should be required to take a course in financial education to graduate. 80% of that same sample said that they wish they had taken that class themselves. So what that's saying to me is that they lived through some things that they didn't feel prepared to face. And they want the knowledge necessary to do that. We're at 15 states now that require a standalone financial education course to graduate. And our work at the National Endowment for Financial Education is to assure that those requirements are high quality, because the bar is high, the stakes are high, so the quality should be high.
What do we need to include then in a quality financial education when we're looking at actually crafting a curriculum that would set students up for success? What does that need to include?
Well, there are two sides to this coin, if you will, if you pardon the pun. First is understanding the benefits of that, and there are very clear data on states that require this, that the students are starting their financial lives, especially in their early 20s. They have higher credit scores, their delinquency rates are lower, the revolving debt is lower, and those that go to college are actually borrowing better. They're making better financial decisions when it comes to student debt and the kinds of products they're taking. And then to get to that place, we need to start with 4 core elements. There are national standards that begin as early as preschool and go all the way through 12th grade. But what I say, especially for teens, is understanding earning and income, understanding how to manage and facilitate and use debt, same with credit. And when you are thinking about risk, it's no longer just risk in terms of your retirement portfolio, if you will, the risk of our digital signature. We all interact, all of our products are mostly digital now, online, banking, for example, but almost every decision we make online has some kind of money decision tied to it, or there's a monetary figure tied to it. So we want to understand, how do you manage that risk? How do you facilitate that? So start with those 4 core principles and then work out from there. There are too many things at stake, and there are too many topics that are essential to be the CFO of your financial life. And so we think that full semester course is the bare minimum.
So when parents are looking at this and thinking, gosh, I hope my child's getting a financial education, or I wish they were getting a little more, but I can't just call up my school and say, add this class. Where can they go? What can they do to learn about what's available in our state? And if they want to be part of that effort to get more, how do they do that?
Well, there's 2 ways to do it, but I want to start by saying that sadly, Oregon does not have a requirement for a financial literacy course. Actually, there used to be a semester course requirement, and it was removed about 25 years ago. And so I would encourage parents, advocates, community members to do 2 things. Start at the top with the legislature and the Department of Education. Show them the data, tell them the story of the benefits of this. Not only the national polling, but the actual research projects that show the measurable outcomes that are there. And then go to the school. Parents can talk to the principals, can talk to teachers, can talk to superintendents, and share what these data are saying here. And ask the question of the state legislature, of the Department of Education, and of the school leadership. Why are we withholding this essential life skill and this essential topic from our students?
Mm-hmm. I've seen that joke on social media. I'm so glad I learned about these different shapes. This parallelogram really came in handy when it's time to file my taxes. And not to say that, our current education isn't also important, but you look at the financial education that really could be critical to long-term success in life, wanting to bring that in for students. Where can parents go to learn more about some of those efforts and that initiative?
Well, I would start with arming myself with data and the talking points of the benefits of financial education. And they can go to our website for that, the National Endowment for Financial Education, nefe.org, and look at the benefits of personal finance and also our recent polling on this topic.
Dr. Billy Hensley, President and CEO of the National Endowment for Financial Education. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a great topic.
Thank you very much.